Hello and grand rising. I'm going to take good morning out because I think I learned what that really means. And so I'm going to omit that. But good afternoon and good night or good evening. How are you? Everything good? Yes. I just wanted to share a little bit with you today about myself. So I wrote a book called Venture to Vegan. And that's about it's my story of becoming vegan. My journey started out when I was a young person, probably around the age 12, and at that time, and still now, I'm a very observant person, and I thought a lot, and I still think too much, but at that time, I viewed the elderly, looking, and when I say elderly at that time, age 50, you were old. and basically that's because that's how I saw them. They weren't just old looking. It appeared that they had all kinds of ailments. They were sick about this. They had high blood pressure. They had this. They had that. Diabetes, cancer, this, everything you can think of. And so, to me, as a 12-year-old female, looking at them, they were suffering with a cane or in a wheelchair or whatever. They appeared to me, 50 and older, were suffering in my brain. That's what I felt. And so I decided at age 12 that I did not want to live past age 40 because I didn't want to suffer. I didn't want to live like that. I didn't see the beauty, the joy, the contentment in living a life where you're going to be in pain, or you're not going to remember people, or you're constantly going to the doctor, all those things. So that was my observation and my thought process when it came to older people. Yeah. Of course, our 50s people are not the same now. And as I got older, and became a young adult, I saw that it wasn't all elders that were like that. It was mainly elders that I don't know. At that time, I did not know, but I assumed it had something to do with your lifestyle. Yeah? And I was correct. It has something to do with your lifestyle. But not necessarily just one facet of your lifestyle. It's like your whole lifestyle is what it had something to do with. So as a young adult, I worked in the Wichita Public Library. And there, checking books in and out, I just became more and more curious about, health and different cultures and different countries, different people, different communities, how they lived. And I started looking at statistics and doing research on the way people live and how they consumed food. And that helped me in a lot of different ways. So I began to take on some of those things. I think I mentioned in one of my videos how the Chinese drink hot tea after meals, and it helps your digestion. And so I started doing things like that. So whatever I saw that was in a culture that that the research deemed to be a good benefit, I started doing it. Yeah. Later in my life, I saw my mom had diabetes, and with that, she was informed that she should change her eating habit, but she didn't. She's just like all the other stubborn family. She didn't. She ate what she wanted to eat, and in doing so, she got her leg amputated, and she ended up in a wheelchair. And it made it even more of a serious find for me. It was extremely necessary that I find a way to change things for me. At a point they were saying that diabetes was genetic. And so I'm learning that it's not necessarily genetic, but one could think that because you're eating the same foods. And if you eat the same foods, you get the same results. So I knew I needed to change my eating habit. When I was going to the university, one of my classes was a chemistry class, and the instructor, the professor, one thing that really stuck out in my head was that he said that you can change your DNA. If diabetes is genetics, then you can change it. If anything is genetic and you can change your DNA, look at the power. So with that, I did more research, and I was in the perfect place to do it in my chemistry class, finding out more about our bodies and things that work together and all of that stuff. And I got to a point where I realized something needed to change. My siblings began to get high blood pressure and diabetes. My dad had cancer, and boy, I want to beat that too, especially that. And so eventually I changed my eating habit. Now, growing up, I did not have a plate of food that had many vegetables on it as a child. I'd have my meats and everything, and probably the biggest vegetable that I would eat, and could probably debate on this, is that it's corn on the cob. I loved corn on the cob. And yeah, that's a debatable right now to some. To others of us, it's just out of the picture. I don't eat corn anymore. But so those are just a few things that I share in my book about going vegan. And I will take time to share more with you as you would like to hear more. And whenever my book gets published, then I will let you know where you can purchase it. But it's I will pick up from where I left off with the story about becoming vegan. There are so many testimonies that share what how people's lives have changed, totally changed, because they changed their eating habit. I remember when I was a teenager and I was working in the mall, and the only person that I've ever knew, and she was introduced to me, she was my manager, but she was also a bodybuilder, and she was in competitions. She was vegan, and I think that was the first vegan I ever met. I don't know how young or old she was. She wasn't very young. She was older than I, a white lady. And she was, you could see the form, you could see the muscles and everything. You know, she was just so small that you could see every muscle in her body. But when it came to moving the clothes rack over to another, she couldn't do it. She needed help. And I was actually able to do it myself. So I thought, well, what kind of bodybuilder is this? But then I learned, of course, that bodybuilding and muscle strength building is different. But yeah, so she was the first one that I met that was vegan, and of course all she was eating was like rice cakes and things like that. And I thought, if that's what being a vegan is, forget those rice cakes. But no, that was for her training. So yeah, I learned that soon enough. But yes, thank you for tuning in, and I will share more about my venture to veganism. Have a blessed day. Peace and blessings.